Call the meeting to order at 7:05.
How about 6:04?
Whatever, you can choose whatever time you want. I will adjourn at 7:05, how's that?
Put that in, it's non-debatable.
That's a deal.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing on September 26, 2017.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the public hearing on September 6, or 26, 2017, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on September 26, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from September 26, 2017, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Additions and deletions, we need to add under correspondence, a letter from the Office of the State Auditor. Is there anything else that needs to be added or taken off?
I don't.
Yeah, I got something I want to talk about sometime along the line is Windham County Humane Society.
Okay. Is
Put
this part
that
of-
under other business?
I don't know, is this part of the contract discussion or just other business?
Put it under other business.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Then moving on to reports. The highway foreman is not here again this week. But I want to go run down the different items that are listed under the agenda because there are updates that you need to be aware of. The first is the roadside mowing. There's been a contract signed, and I believe the gentleman was to start this week or next week doing the roadside mowing.
It's when he finishes Wardsboro, might be the end of this week, it'll certainly be next week if not, but the weather's still good, and he is hustling to get here, so he will be here within 5 days. Signed contract, we have the insurance, we have the W-9s filled out, all the paperwork is taken care of, and
What was the decided price on it?
not to exceed 9,000, 2 passes where possible. And it's contingent, it's net 30 days, but it's contingent upon the highway foreman basically signing off on the work. So just making sure that all the roads that need to get done, if he's gonna do out, on Oakwood Road, or however that works, Cemetery Road, then somebody's gonna have to check, or will have to check on that, just to make sure, but anyway. I wrote up a contract that's contingent upon Clerk overseeing and signing off, approving it before it's done. But anyway, he said it'd take probably 2 weeks to do it. Should be done this month, hopefully.
Okay, any other questions?
I was gonna say, it takes about 90 hours, or somewhere in that.
He's got 2 tractors, and I think he and, yeah, he's got 2 tractors, so I think they're both gonna come here and hustle at it and work it, and one of them, I don't know, they're different, so they'll figure it out.
But I say, but it's still, with one tractor, it takes about 90 hours a little better to do everything.
Yep, yeah. Takes us a little over 160. Because of lunch. Anyway,
Okay,
But that's more than one pass. I know, because I've done it quite a few times.
all right, then moving on to the infrastructure inventory. This has turned into the largest, most, keep my language clean, messed up piece of garbage that I think I've seen in a long time. We found out that the award letter we received for that particular grant had a due date of October 31st, 2017. Wyndham Regional, who's doing this for us, had said via contract that we just recently received, that it was due December 31st, 2017. The award on the grant itself, the actual contract that we signed, is for December 31st, 2018. So what date is real?
Well, grant says 2017, you're not gonna get it if it's not done.
But,
Well, the way it started is that Kurt's been trying to get a hold of Jeff all summer, or since spring or something. They've been playing phone tag back and forth. But anyway,
Does he still work down there?
Jeff Nugent, yeah, is still in charge of this, and they were just finishing up a couple of other towns, Grafton being one of them. They've also got some AmeriCorps volunteers. But apparently the day after the meeting, or 2 days after the last meeting that we were at, Jeff came up and talked to Kurt and got it all straightened out. Well, I didn't know anything. We got an email just on Friday. Was it Friday? No, take it back. Maybe last Wednesday. Got an email from Windham Regional. Jeff saying, good to talk to you. We're gonna be, it was on Tuesday afternoon. Good to talk to you last week, and we'll be starting on Thursday morning. So I immediately called, well, I called Kathy, but I immediately called Windham Regional and also sent an email and said, we're putting this on hold. Kathy said we want to talk to Chris Campany, so we actually got a hold of him. We put it on hold because our understanding was that the Allen May letter, award letter, said we got this in June of 16, said that it was an 18-month grant and it was going to expire in October 2017. This is for the hydrologic erosion studies, and it involves capital expenditures over 5 years. The select board is going to be heavily at work on budgeting for this, and I couldn't see any way that we could muster up a completion date and submit all this by the end of October this month, even if they did come up here and do the survey.
but they said they were going to be done until November anyway.
Right, they said they weren't gonna be done until November, they'd have it all buttoned up by the end of December, so immediately that raised all kinds of flags, and we tried to get clarity from Windham Regional. We went back and forth with them many, many times. They didn't have a very clear understanding, and the net result of all this is we now have in writing basically everything that we wanted. They've had, I believe, I don't know if they're watching, but they learned that there are a number of dates out there for every one of the towns. Townshend happens to be an end date of 2018, oddly enough. But by pushing this right to the hilt and getting some clarification, I think Kathy can talk to it better than I. We did get it straightened out. We do have some written correspondence. Plus, we got our contract from Windham Regional, which we'd never received back in the mail. So I do believe that we've clarified it. I do believe we've got it straightened out. I do believe they're going to do the network inventory as well as this hydrological study, this MGP study, and I think they can probably get it done by the end of December, and we've got another year to process it. And they will help us with processing it.
And we do have all of this in writing. So
Good.
we're now hopefully covered with this. If somebody comes back and says, well, it was due in October 2017, and we can say, no, it wasn't here.
Yeah.
We've got state correspondence, we've got Windham Regional correspondence, we've got all kinds of correspondence.
And Mike Shaughnessy, who's the CFO, for lack of a better, I don't know his official title, at Windham Regional, called me again today. I've talked to him a couple times. And I told him that I'd probably give him a call tomorrow, but that the board needed to at least be advised on this. What has been a controversy for 18 months now, Kathy, is seems to somehow be resolved, and we seem to be in much better position. But we do have everything in writing, much better position than we have been.
So I guess
With some clarity.
the question for you all now is, do you want to move forward with this now that we've gotten the clarity, we have all the contracts, we know what date it's due, we have a little over a year to get this accomplished, do we want to move forward?
We do know how much it's gonna cost, and we do have a grant to cover the cost, 80%.
That's the
So-
question now.
Yeah.
But did they ever when the grant came through, did it go to Windham Regional?
It's a reimbursement grant, so we will cover that, but I have an understanding also in writing that Windham Regional won't,
Bill?
be expecting payment. They'll bill us so that we can submit the bill to the state, but they won't be expecting payment until after we're reimbursed. But it's an $8,000 grant, of which we're on the hook for 20%, basically. And, am I right in that, or is it 10,000, wrong, 8? But anyway, I think it's 8,000. So there's a lot of working latitude on this, and Windham Regional has admitted that going into this, they haven't been the best chaperones of it. I mean, they helped Kirk put this grant together and helped secure it, and then they had some changes in personnel, some things got lost in the shuffle, and we are where we are now. But
Yeah, I tell you, we're gonna, The new stormwater regulation stuff is gonna be one big pain.
It is still voluntary, and the actual legislation on it has yet to be written, and towns may or may not come, but sooner or later, everybody's gonna be forced into it. You're gonna have to do it, and the advantage of doing it early,
But you can spread it out a little bit.
you can spread it out a little longer. You can also have the state help if you have some serious issues. I don't think we have that many serious issues, but it remains to be seen. I mean, the bigger part of it is getting the network inventory done,
Yeah.
which according to Clerk is going to expire in December if it hasn't already, so.
One of the big problems is gonna be is from Townshend State Park down to Red Wing.
Oh, that whole, yeah, I know.
They're not supposed to let the water go into the river. Where the hell do you go? If you bury it and put a DI and stuff down through that and just fill up and plug.
There have to be a lot of situations like that, but anyway, they'll take a
Oh
look
yeah,
at it and then we'll,
gonna be a lot of them that way.
yeah,
Simpson Brook Road,
I know.
you know, that's why that's gonna be one big pain.
Yep, there are some bad sections on that.
Other than if you can find a place where you can get a settlement pond in and not have to cross the road or anything, go down there inside the road and go into a settlement pond in. But who knows?
Well,
Anyway, so the question is, do we want to tell Windham Regional at this point in time, now that we've gotten everything clarified, we have everything in writing, to go ahead and come up and begin this process? That's the question.
I think, yes.
Okay, so the
and that's
consensus.
fine, but that's where we are
consensus-
right now. We just did a temporary, put it on hold until we got it clarified, and the clarifications have been really, really good.
Oh, yeah, I know, I
So,
realize that.
it needed doing a long time ago, and it's finally.
All right, then moving on to the next grant that's been a thorn in our side, and that's the Plumb Road Bank Stabilization Grant. And it's my understanding, and you had in the warrants, several invoices for the materials that were needed to do that grant, and I haven't seen it, but I understand it's not what we thought it was going to be in the way of scope and size. Anybody have any?
I'm sorry, you're looking at me.
I am, because you're the only one that's heard any feedback.
Yeah, we have
I've seen
11.
it, because I went by it the other day. I thought it was gonna be different than what it turned out.
It's
but-
sticking out into the road about 5 feet, but
No,
that.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but they also, the goddamn power company or telephone company stuck an anchor down there. They moved the pole, but then they put an anchor down in the way.
The grant, we're gonna be asking for reimbursement for probably about half of what the grant is actually for, maybe a little less than that. So in terms of materials and man hours and equipment use and all of that, it didn't turn out the way it was projected. And the projection, I don't know how accurate that was by the plan. This isn't something I put together. This was another 11th hour signing and submitting against the deadline. We were awarded the grant. The grant expires in the end of this year, December of 2017. And they have completed it. I don't know whether I haven't talked to Kurt, I don't know whether we have all the details and all the data that we need. The photographs, I don't know if there was a pre-construction conference. There are some things in there that I need to get from him. But we do have the bills for the rock, and I do have the labor statements that you guys just looked at here.
Was that the 36-inch rocks?
Yeah, 288 cubic feet of 36-inch rock that we didn't buy any of.
Where is it?
We didn't buy any of it.
I gotta say, I know that
We bought 69 cubic feet of 12-inch rock, and we bought 7 cubic feet of 3-inch ditch stone, I guess it's called.
yeah,
About 12-inch riprap and ditch stone, and the part of the grant, one of the bigger parts of the grant is that we didn't want to haul that 36-inch to 48-inch, 36-inch to 60-inch rock. We're gonna have to saw someone deliver it, partly because our trucks didn't want to get all dinged up like that.
yeah. but-
And partly because the backhoe wasn't gonna handle it very easily and
Yeah,
all
I'm
that.
not gonna say, you aren't gonna be able to handle it.
So I don't know whether that was part of the plan to avoid that, and I don't know if that's what cut the time down from 84 hours to, 46 or something, but in any event, the projection was for $14,000, we applied for a grant for 11, it's gonna come in under 5, so. But anyway, it is done, and we'll try to button it up and get it processed if we're gonna actually ask for the money.
Well, and again, the fact that the highway foreman isn't here tonight pushes out all these questions, all these dates to another meeting or another time. Craig needs answers to be able to finish the grant work paperwork on this, and we don't have anybody to actually answer those
Well,
questions.
there are two things. One is the small, just in general principle, is it worth chasing a grant that's only gonna be for like $5,000 and say, well, you gave us one for 11, but we really only needed 5 of it, and that's one thing. And that's actually okay. The other is, are we in compliance? I mean, did we fulfill the letter of not only the terms of the grant, but does this meet code? Does this meet what V-Trans? Because Megan Brock at District 2 is the one who helped engineer and study this and come up with a design. It's supposed to be 140 feet long by 14 feet high.
Didn't they give us specs of what we were
Well,
supposed to
that's what's
use
written
and the
up-
lengths
yeah,
and all
that's-
the other stuff?
that's
And
what's written
That's
up in-
what my question of the 36-inch rock.
Yeah, that's what's written up in the projection and why we applied for the grant, and what we based the finances of the request upon was the project scope of the work. And we certainly haven't completed the project according to what was originally scoped. I don't know if that's okay or not okay. I just know that I got the paperwork and I need to close it out at some point in the next month and something. But I need to talk to Kurt about it and
Okay.
have that opportunity.
So then moving on to the front end loader, again, another one that we need the highway foreman here for. Irv, you gave me the folder at the last meeting, and I passed that on to Craig.
I do have.
I think he's got some.
Yeah, Craig and I talked a minute the other night. And
Yeah.
Okay, so he's,
I'm okay with it. I have the numbers to call. I haven't called, I don't want to do it twice. We can have this conversation at another time too. But it kind of depends on when you want to buy it. People who sell heavy equipment, construction equipment, and municipal maintenance equipment are very familiar with how all this works. But you don't want to call somebody in October if you're not going to be buying something until April or May. You don't want them to come down and give you a trade-in value price on our loader if indeed you're going to use it for 6 more months in the pit and in the salt shed and all that. It's not going to be worth the same thing as it's worth right now.
But
So I mean, bringing somebody down from Milton or bringing them in from wherever, 26.
yeah, I'm gonna say until next May, you're not gonna have all your money anyways.
Well, I understand that, and most bids that you might receive right now might be good for 90 days.
No,
Pushing it 180 over a calendar year
Oh,
break
no,
is,
not
you know,
90
new
days.
models. Right,
Most of them would be 90 days or less.
at best, yeah. So, I mean, I don't wanna call and make people jump through hoops, give you paper, and then do it again in 3 or 4 months. So that's kind of, but we do have all the information I think we need. Looks like it's gonna be a straight off the shelf piece of equipment. No extra frills, no 7-disc CD changer,
They're gonna
18-way
take,
seats.
the only thing I know of is like.
That ride
Your
control.
ride control and,
A lot of paper.
but if you don't do that, it's just like a jackrabbit going down the road.
Yep.
all right, and moving on to the winter sand, did in fact Kurt get any answers as to the cost?
He actually did. And it's right here because I know I've got him. And I think I have him right here. The price is the same as it was last year, delivered. 13, I'm gonna say 13.50.
Do we know how many tons we use?
I did not look that up,
Cubic
but I know you
yards,
said a limit, and I can look that up pretty quickly, I believe.
No, FOB is.
Quite remember what we
Freight
did.
board?
If we picked it up, it's delivered at 13.
Oh,
From who?
So it's awesome.
Sasimo.
And who else quoted it?
Nobody that I know of. I mean, I don't think he called anybody else. I
Sand
certainly.
has had thing come by. Unless you call somebody like Leland or Crow River, that'll all be washed and it'll, most of it is, and it's a lot more expensive. But,
Yeah, but it'd be nice to have some sort of
oh
comparison.
yeah, get an idea.
I thought we okayed them for 4,500 and ended up with 6,000.
Yeah, that's
Somewhere in that
That's kind
department.
of where I'm headed for, but I can't remember exactly. I'm
I guess I say,
looking through this and I'm running into Network Inventory and Christina Angel instead. Anyway, I should have had that, and I'll find out. I can call around if I know who to call. I can call around for some other prices. I guess, I don't know if Fitzpatrick is still hauling out of its pit.
They ain't got no sand.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing but,
I don't know who the alternatives would
they
be.
got some sand, yeah, but it's beach sand and it ain't very valuable.
Okay.
I don't know what Plimpton's have got anything or not. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say. One
You're gonna
time.
wear the spring out on that pen.
Yeah.
You're gonna wear the spring out on that pen.
Look.
I'll find it for you before the end of the evening. Here,
No, one
I'll bring
time,
it up online.
years ago, I think Basin's did, but I don't know.
All right, but I would like to set not to exceed amount this evening, so we will need to know how much we actually used, so we can decide.
In money or in yards?
Yards.
Yep.
The Unifirst contract, again, this has gone round and round, full circle. You all saw the warrant today that had the bill for $82. There was a meeting, Craig met with the Unifirst representative, and there has been a new, did as we instructed, took all the extra stuff off. And there has been a new contract that has been proposed that will, that's the old contract, I don't want to do the old contract. Where the heck's the new contract? Yeah, well, there's the contract.
Anyway, we eliminated all the, most of the 99% of the non-uniform stuff. The bill this week was $65. The bill last week was $60, down from 82. So we're certainly headed in the right direction. And they're offering a maximum 3% per annum increase, and to not deliver anything we don't ask for. Go figure. In writing, to not charge us for things that we haven't requested, which is kind of nice.
So technically, where we are here is they're asking for us to sign a new contract that would allow them to increase annually at a rate of 3%, which is better than we're currently doing. And at a lower price, we've shaved roughly.
If you go from 82 to 65, 20, yeah, I mean, it's back, it's
20
30%
plus dollars,
back
right,
off, right?
off, we went backwards, so, technically I would need a motion and approval to go ahead and sign the contract at this rate. I don't know if that's gonna extend the contract out another 5 years or not. I haven't had it, cause I haven't seen it.
Well, as long as it doesn't increase more than 3% per year, it's okay, but as you said, if anything happens, which goes out of the contract term, which happened with our old one, then the contract basically becomes null and void. We can do what we did last week and threaten basically, or call them in to get out of fines at this point.
Which is technically where we are with that warrant that was not signed.
Yep.
If we don't pay it, then we haven't accepted the new terms of the contract as they've been altered. But we do have a new one in front of us, and like I said, this one says a maximum increase of 3%. And my guess is it'll probably roll out another 5 years from today's date, or whatever day we sign it. It's all small language. So it's up to you all as to what we're going to do. Merchandise, obligations and remedies. It's in here somewhere.
5 years is a long time.
Well,
Yeah, there.
but I think that's what they did originally, was 5 year. Yeah, because there was a lot of discussion at the board level about whether or not we wanted to get out. And every time we've asked, about changes or whatever. We've always been told we were within the contract, and their increases were within the contract, and therefore we had no alternative.
recourse.
Yes. So it's up to you, and every time we've talked about not having service, the highway department comes back and says, in not so many words, we won't take our clothes home and wash them in our home machines. So that's where we are. It's up to you all as to where we go from here.
They won't do any less time period? Like a 2-year contract?
Did a 2 or 3 year, with a 3% max increase annually would be fine. 5 years is a little bit more.
Like I said, I can easily on the contract. Yeah, you wanna talk to him, Craig? Will you see him tomorrow, or will you have?
I will, I mean, yes, I can call, I have email as well.
Can you just find out
What the term is?
what the reset is on,
Okay.
for the time, if this resets the time?
I mean, we can do it tomorrow, that's fine. And,
So you wanna make a motion pending?
Yes.
Yep.
I'd make a motion that if it's a 2 or 3 year contract at 3% increase per year, that we accept it. If it's a 5 year, we try to lobby for a 2 to 3 year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of signing the contract if it fits within the parameters as defined for the time limit, signify by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
and actually, legitimately, you can't engage the town for much more than 3 years at a time,
Technically, we can't, no.
without a public hearing, yeah.
So the interesting thing is that's going to leave this warrant up in the air as to what we do with that $82 warrant. I mean, do we want?
Maybe if we pay the $82 and then say we'd like a 2 to 3 year, would be, I mean, if we asked for 2 to 3 year without paying it, they'd probably be like, oh.
Well, that, we do have this one hanging, and this one is old enough that we need to deal with it, so.
Well, they've already taken off all the extras,
After,
which was one of our beefs.
after this one,
Yeah.
yes, they have. And he did come in today and spoke to Craig, and I happened to be here, and they're accommodating from that standpoint. He had another suggestion as to how we might decrease the accessory costs. So, I mean, they're willing to at least discuss it. So, we might want to take a look at that one as far as signatures. So as soon as I find out what the terms are, if it's not within our realm, I'll bring it back to you. If not, I'll go ahead and sign it and get it sent in.
Okay.
Next one, you should have all gotten town clerk counter money in your box. And are there any questions on that? All right, hearing none, you also got a balance sheet from the bank account showing that the town currently has in its checking account $1,065,846.99.
I didn't get a copy of that, but if I can copy that from you at some point,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'll put those numbers together, yeah. What's going on?
All right. Then the warrants, have we got them all put back into, they're all in order?
If I can go back one step,
To do what?
when it's in, sorry, just it took me a minute. Mark made a motion to contract with Sossaman Industries for the purpose of up to 4,000 cubic yards of winter road sand, seconded by the, and that was on something. That was on October 11th, the year ago, October 11th, 2016.
So do we stick with that and enforce it this year? So
think
that's
so.
it.
Are we gonna really enforce it? Last year, we said the
Oh,
same
like,
thing.
I
and it
just looked at you reflecting, talking to Kurt, that in January, we were already over.
Yeah.
The end of January, we'd already gone over. We're
I'd make a motion to approve not exceeding 4,000 yards of winter sand.
Second.
and sticking to it.
Is there any further discussion on that?
Do you want me to call, see if I can find somebody else to supply?
Yes, please.
And Kurt needs to be,
Tell you when you might check with Luzny.
Yeah, okay.
and Kurt needs to be informed that is firm. Any further discussion?
We did sign a contract with American for the salt, just so you know on that. We're all set on that.
So
And he should be getting some of that in shortly.
all those in
Um,
favor of, yeah, instituting a contract for winter sand, or contracting for 4,000 cubic yards of winter sand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. I won't say with who, because we don't know who that might be.
No, but if I can have that sheet right there back, even though it's just an email.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 1 out of the payroll in the amount of $9,476.07.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, just driving around looking for road problems, and we don't seem to get many of the problems fixed when they're out there.
Again, it's a little hard to address those kinds of issues when you've got nobody here but us to hear it. All right, any further? Okay, so all of those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $9,476.07 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 2, payroll taxes in the amount of $3,731.29.
No, wait a minute, that's different from what's on the sheet.
Different than mine.
I thought it was 25. I could be wrong.
That's right, you're right.
$2,524.37.
Second.
Right?
No, that's just the federal deposit. You were right the first time. The warrant is for the 37.
My
I
apologies on
usually
that.
read down here.
Okay, that works too. 37, wait a second. Quit moving for just a second. Thank you.
37,
37, 31, 29.
31, 29,
37.
31, 29.
No, my apologies, mine misread there.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll withholding tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $3,731.29 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund in the amount of $11,966.42.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $11,966.42 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the highway fund in the amount of $5,983.47.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 4 in the amount of $5,983.47 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the highway fund in the amount of $76,489.92.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
We have not received the backup, the slips telling how much tonnage was delivered to that project.
Right.
Would you like me to call Jason?
I mean,
Is
I'd
it
like
your
to
job?
pay them.
No, not unless you tell me.
Oh, okay.
We want to pay them, but we want to know what we're paying for.
Yeah.
And I believe Kurt was instructed to bring those.
Correct.
So we do need to get those slips in here. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 5 in the amount of $76,489.92 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion fails.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 6 out of the highway fund in the amount of $82.97.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 6 in the amount of $82.97, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 7 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $2,917.23.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying the equipment warrant number 7 in the amount of $2,917.23, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So there are no members of the public this evening, so then we move on to the letter that came in at 4 o'clock this afternoon from the Office of the State Auditor. And it's addressed to me, which is lovely. Dear Ms. Peggy, we are performing an audit of how municipalities address findings in bridge inspection reports issued by the Agency of Transportation. Townshend has been selected as one of the municipalities to be part of this audit. We expect to contact the individual responsible for public works / road maintenance and to obtain information on 1. Processes used to identify and respond to bridge inspection findings. 2. What has been done to address specific bridge inspection findings from 2014-15, and 3. Funding of bridge repair or replacement projects. If you have any questions pertaining to this audit, please contact, and then it gives contact information. Thank you in advance for your town's cooperation. So, this is technically, needless to say, not the select boards, but it does fall to Mr. Bostrom.
Copy of this did go by email
I gotta
to
say,
the garage. But it may be a while before
the
it
bridge
picks it up.
inspections always used to come to the select board.
The bridge inspection sheets, the final sheets do, but this is an audit of how you handle
No, I
this.
realize that.
They wanna know how you deal with it.
What they, give you for information, and one thing that they were a sticker on is to keep them washed off every spring after the winter salt and stuff.
That's
You
their
know,
recommendation.
it's
There's
stuff
other,
stuff that they've got the,
right, and there have been other recommendations for guardrails and whatever else. I mean,
Yeah.
little potholes and whatnot. And again, that goes directly to the highway department, and it's overseen by the select board to some degree. But I mean, it comes, it goes, it gets seen, and we move on. So anyway, it looks like the auditors, state auditors, would like to do an audit of the protocols and procedures of how this is all addressed when it does come in. Been a couple of years since we've gotten one, but how it's handled, basically. 2014-15 was the last one apparently, and what has happened since then.
you know, any money that's set aside for replacement or whatever.
No, we've had
That's bad.
considerable money in special projects, which is what that's for,
But,
a lot of it.
you see, there always used to be a percentage figured in your price per mile for bridge maintenance and stuff. I don't know anymore, I don't see anything.
Well, again, and I other than the replacement of Bridge 42, and they did some guardrail work on the second bridge up on Simpson Brook this last spring, because the guardrails got knocked down. But other than that, we haven't done a whole lot that I know of on the bridges so far. And none of it, I don't believe, is keyed off of the state inspector's report,
That
V-Trans
second one
report.
up on Simpson Brook, it was a matter of the thigh bolts that held the guardrail all rusted off.
Yep.
No, that's one thing. When they do the inspection, that shows up on them reports from the state.
It should, yeah.
Well, and again,
With the absence of Mr. Bostrom.
exactly, it's difficult to have these conversations when the person
Yeah.
responsible for doing them isn't here.
I think we're supposed to take our day off and go talk to him while he's working
Could do that, I guess.
for the super amount that we get.
Well, it's very irritating to get these letters at 4 o'clock before a meeting and not have somebody here to talk to about what it is that's going to be happening. And
Well, the interesting thing about this is they're not selecting us at our option to be a participant in it. It looks like they're coming. They're gonna come to Townsend. And it doesn't mean that they're gonna be adversarial, But it doesn't look like they're gonna be dealing with me or the select board, looks like they're headed right out to the garage. So I do think that's worth the board monitoring and preparing for. And making sure that, you know, I mean, I can get a copy out to Kurt. How he prepares for it, I don't know. I mean, whatever details we can obviously muster, and when this is gonna happen, it's not
It doesn't say.
clear, no. So,
All right, no, needs to say, that needs to.
something else is coming.
We'll have the financial audit of the town, and he can have a financial audit or an audit of some kind of the bridges. All right, then moving on, legal matters update. The first one, I believe, the most recent communication we have about the Lisa Johnson property is the court has issued a finding that we can put a tack notice on the house, which serves as service for the,
That just,
oh, see, I
yeah,
was.
you can do the real language, you don't have to read it, it's just, yeah, the tax notice has been approved.
Okay, so this is essentially the tack notice notifying her that in fact she's been summoned to court to deal with the eviction piece. So this is still in progress. Not sure how long that's going to take, but I anticipate a court date sometime soon. Will be. The other one is the court date that we had, oh my gosh,
Friday the 3rd.
a week ago last Friday, so yes.
No, the 30th, I guess it was.
And in that particular case, the individual did not show up for court, called about an hour before the hearing was to start, and told the court officer that they were in the hospital and would not be able to attend. The court, or the judge then postponed the hearing and gave the individual 30 days to come back with proof that they were in a healthcare institution, I believe is the way it was phrased, in a healthcare institution, and if that did not happen, then the court was going to dismiss the case. So we're waiting for that 30 days to go by to see if that letter comes in, and then we'll go from there. So that's the update on my legal doings. Route 35 parking at Leland Gray. One of the issues that we got into recently was the fact that there is not a sign from the corner of the Leland Gray driveway, between the two driveways, essentially. The first 2-hour parking sign, limited 2-hour parking sign, is on the far driveway corner where Carlton Smith's used to be. One of the patrons of Leland Gray, I'll put it that way, took exception to receiving a ticket for having been in that parking area for more than 2 hours, and said that it was not clearly marked. The policy itself is very specific, and it does start at this first driveway and it goes all the way up to the pharmacy, and the school has now been provided with an official copy of the ordinance.
I would think part of their job description is to use the parking at Leland and Gray.
Well, one of the issues that has come
I
up
mean,
this.
part of the rules of working there should be that you're parking in the employee parking lot.
One of the things that has come about is I think a natural realization of how many staff members, how many cars per day are actually trying to access the school. And the parking they had designated for staff and support staff is not large enough to accommodate the number of people they have coming in on any given day. And that's where the overflow is coming on into the street, on the common side, on the Leland Gray side, etc. That's really one for them to work out as to how they're going to handle that. You know, as far as
But I can say a lot of it, they don't even go for a parking spot, they pull it beyond the second driveway and park right along through the lab by back out in Williams.
And when the tickets were given, we went all the way up to the end of the signs that day. Anybody that was there over 2 hours did get a ticket.
I realize it.
And, you know, again, we can be more forceful. We don't happen to have any type of compliance officer at the moment, other than the constables, but the way the law reads and the way the policy reads, anybody on the select board can act in that capacity as well, since it is our ordinance.
This is relevant to what you were saying, but a letter from Principal Bob Thiebaud next door. I did count, and this is into the letter, but I did a count yesterday of our staff parking areas out front and sea level, and calculated that we have about 49 spots and close to 70 adults that come and go from the building daily, not including visitors. So, I mean, you have an awful lot more students driving in, plus you have 49 spots for 70 adults. It's part of the reason for their crunch. I mean, that's part of the reason.
When did Bob send that?
That was dated, we're in the middle of it. This must be after the last meeting. Get up to the date here. 26 September.
And I know they are considering some options over there as to how they're going to deal with it. And they have been a little bit better about not parking in the 2-hour area, or if they do park there, it's only for a short period of time. They've been relatively good about staying out of the parking in front of the town hall. We gotten,
Every year, at
Aggressive.
this time of year when they start up, this always kind of happens, and you gotta kind of stand your ground a little bit. They do have conferences and in-service days, and they bring people up from Windham Central or from other schools. People will park out there, and we do tag them. Generally, they're not there for more than 3 or 4 hours, but, I mean, not everybody knows, but the staff over here has been better, and lately, the last week or so. There's still some anomalies, but the last week or so.
One problem I've had right from day one with this 2-hour parking, say if I'm coming down street here, I don't live in town.
Mhm.
I'm coming down to meet Rob, because we're going somewhere and be gone half a day. Where the hell do you park?
Riverbend won't let you park down there in the back of their lot, they'll tow you away.
No,
I mean,
no.
and no, there is no
You know,
municipal
that's the
general
thing.
parking.
That's the thing that I had argued about. There's no parking right or anything,
No,
and
well, the state, one thing that we know for a fact is the state does not restrict parking on Route 30. So if you want to talk about public parking, that's where it would be, and on either side of Route 30.
well, and they've talked about the park and ride program, we've been offered many opportunities for that and haven't taken advantage of it, but that would be a place at Taft Meadows or something, a curb cut and a little parking
one
right
time
there.
they was going over one fall and then the board couldn't make up their mind and
Yep.
it never happened.
Yep, well, there were
Hard to imagine.
groups that were looking seriously at that, and now the bus, rather than do a park and ride out there in front of Crozier's or beside, on Route 30 there across from Chase's, I believe the bus stops at Grace Cottage or at the old Heinz home or up to Valley Cares. They pick up people directly from the hospital areas, and maybe even Leland and Grace from time to time, but they do come up Route 35.
Yeah, but see, it's not all bus.
I think
Parking
it's
right
gonna
could be Rob and I going somewhere.
Oh, yeah, no,
Or-
I agree with you about the
Or
parking.
some of the people that will carpool and, to go to work and stuff,
Right.
that's what the parking ride's really about.
I agree, but one of the biggest proponents of the park and ride were patients, in part, people who needed to go to Brattleboro for appointments back and forth. The hospital was a big proponent of that.
Well, that might
And-
be, but I say a parking
They
ride
end up
is
with-
really for people,
Sure.
2, 3 people
Yep.
going in one car instead of 3 cars.
Steve and I going to Foxwoods for a night.
Maybe the school could do that somewhere. We got 79 people coming, 48 spots.
Well, and see, this is one of the issues we've always faced in
Yeah.
town, between the hospital and the schools. There is no public parking in town, so whatever is available is taken up by those 2 entities. And the rest of us, literally, I walked from across the street today because every space was taken up, and all but one space on that side of the street was taken up. So to come,
Clerk's towing.
yeah, so that's, again, I had business in the town hall. I should be able to get reasonably close enough to come in and conduct whatever business. And some of these more elderly people have a really difficult time crossing the street. I almost got hit today going back.
I'm not surprised, not surprised.
They
Anyway,
come around that corner fast.
student populations have declined by 30% in the last 15
Maybe that's it,
years.
they all got hit on the corner.
Student populations have declined, but the staffing populations haven't, and that gives you an indication of some of where the cost is.
So you just need to be aware that this is all being discussed and
Right.
what's going on, and we may have to decide whether we wanna actually post that area in
It's,
front of
but
Leland.
it is a daily thing here that we're out looking, or Anita's looking, I'm looking, Kathy's in and out looking. We're trying to pay attention and not be unneighborly, but trying to be pretty.
Yeah, but if there was
firm.
450 kids were there however many years ago, now there's 300, they can't be all freshmen without a license.
Well, they aren't. But they're not carpooling either.
Okay.
And they're certainly not riding the bus in front of your house.
Good.
All right, so then moving on, as far as, new business, you had some printouts of the,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that's, surplus, 2, 3, 4. Rob's familiar, Kathy's familiar, Earth's familiar, and Stephen Will's not here. So that's also for- That. And more here. For you. You have basically 3 sections. One is your general fund, one is your highway fund, 200 account, and one is the equipment fund. The yellow pages are the current budget to date, we're only into it for a quarter. This is what you budgeted, this is what you spent, this is what, and I have my glasses on. The next section is also gonna be general fund. Take this slip off, just showing you what it is. This is a comparative, it shows you the budget for this year, budget for last year, the total spent last year, the budget for this year that you're currently in, and then what you want to spend. So what you're looking at on the yellow pages is this number, plus how much you've spent so far, which doesn't show up on here. And it gives you a line, blank line for maybe setting next year's as well, for general, for highway, and for equipment. Kurt should be helping on the highway and equipment, and Anita does hers, the listers do theirs. We do the finance office and the rest of it. Fire department does theirs, cemetery does theirs, library does theirs, which aren't on here, but.
so technically, what we should do is probably take a look at, some of the numbers and become familiar with the layout of the budget piece, so that when we get into budget season, we'll be able to.
And I can explain anything, if you look at, and I don't want you to do it now necessarily, but on the comparative, the projected one, the one with the right, with the blank lines on the right, it'll show you last year's budget under select board meetings and travel, for example. And it'll show you that we quadrupled the budget by $800 or $900. We way overspent. That was for one town meeting, for which we were reimbursed by almost half. So, I mean, some of these things will jump off the page, will flag as being anomalies, but we can go into the computer, I can explain most of them, we can get data for the others, if they don't seem to make sense.
All right,
So, any questions?
then moving
Ask
on
away.
to other business, the Humane Society. Herb, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah. How much money do we pay to, Humane Society?
Is it actually on here on the contract? Probably not. I have a contract. We signed.
What?
I'm
That's
gonna
supposed
say
to be
300,
fair.
but it's a little less than 3, I think. And then we get a little back. Well, let's see if it's real handy right here. Give me on that section. Contract for holding, hopefully it's current, 6/27/17. That was the amount. That was on the bottom of the first page, on the second page. So, I don't see a number on there. I know there's a number that goes with it.
I should have already
Is it
paid this
under,
year.
is it under, let's see, law enforcement?
I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I was thinking it was under, I mean, I really didn't want to have to bring it up on the computer. It's gotta be in here somewhere, but I don't think it's a line item, I think it's just under, Public Works or something like that. Actually, not Public Works, but safety, law enforcement, somewhere along there. I'll bring it back. I'll bring it up. I thought it was like $250, $280.
Yeah, but
Something like that.
what's that $350 supposed to do?
It's supposed to cover any animals that end up getting taken to the shelter,
That's the shit.
as a safe place to hold them while they're,
That's a contract.
right, as a safe place to hold them until the owners can come and get them.
All right. Sunday morning, my dog slipped his chain. His collar was on him and everything with the rabies tags and the whole works. And before noon, by noon, we went and picked him up when we found out he was down there. They charged me $30.
And they're supposed to try to, rather than charging the town, they're supposed to charge the people. That's what the contract,
But my goddamn, I can't see why the town should give him any money. If I'm gonna pay for it,
It allows the animal control officers access to the building after 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They basically have a key. They can go in, they can open a kennel, they can drop off a dog, and the owner will pay to get it back. I mean, that's
yeah,
basically.
but somebody picked my dog up right out here by Mary Myers because he slipped his chain.
Yeah.
I went.
You found him, yeah.
First thing, Sunday morning. I went to West Townsend. I went down to Dave Onions. I went up to Deer Valley looking for him.
Yep.
Somebody had already picked him up and taken him to the town. And it cost me $30 to get him back.
Was it the constable that brought him, or was it just some
No,
aimless person?
some
picking him up?
individual did.
Somebody was down there on a Sunday to receive him then. I mean, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only people that would up here have access would be the Warren and Mike, the animal control officer, the first and second constables. Basically, that would have access to it, but that's what that contract allows us to do. I mean, generally, if I find a stray, I'll call Anita
Whatever happened if
and
you
say,
see
who
a
owns the
stray,
brown
just
dog?
leave it alone.
Or leave it alone.
Just leave it
Well, yeah,
alone.
Right, yeah.
Dog could probably find its way home. People need to stop being a do-gooder, just let the dog go.
It says created by Eric on this sheet. I got a receipt right here from him.
Okay, but he's the guy who entered it into the computer.
right, it would be the person that took
Yeah.
the dog in.
I mean, we could probably
No,
call
I know
down
it's
there.
not the first took the dog in.
No, we could
He was
probably,
real snotty too.
we could probably call down there and find out how it was, who it was brought in by, or. how
But
it
the
was
thing
brought in.
is, another thing, my understanding that any outfit, I don't care what it is, that receives public money, is supposed to advertise when their meetings are and all that stuff, and you tell me when you've seen any notice of any meetings of the Humane Society.
Is that technically public money? Yeah, I guess it's.
That's public money, it's what comes from the town of Townsend.
Yeah,
It's taxpayers' money.
but it's buying a service. Oh, I'm not arguing, I'm just.
No, but I'm
advocating.
saying, that board of
We're buying a
directors,
service.
when their board of directors has a meeting, it should be posted just same we have to with select board.
You haven't lived long enough to know they do what they wanna do?
They're gonna find out, because they touched the wrong guy this time. I went through this once before. And it kinda straightened out, well. You're gonna call his Secretary of State and find out about that with the public money and the whole works, if they do or don't.
They-
I would think if you're donating money, I mean, I'm just being a devil's advocate, I would think if you're donating money, that's one thing. Then it seems to me that yes, they would be open to the public. If you're buying a service or paying for a service from them, that might be something, because the town
Yeah,
contracts.
the town's not donating the money. It's
Well, no,
coming
it's
out
not,
of
no,
my
it's,
taxes.
it is
Isn't
contracting,
it a
but,
non-profit too?
yeah.
well, they're not, but so are the state police, and we contract with the state police, but I don't know that we have an invite into their internal meetings, just because we're actually in contract with, you know what I mean, I'm just saying. We
No, I
contract
don't.
with a lot of
No, I
entities.
don't know what you mean.
And it's not a donation. If we donate to SEPCA, then by God, we can go to their board of directors meetings and see what they're doing with our money. If we're buying something from Patriot Motors, I don't think you can go into the.
No,
board.
that's a
Sure.
different story.
That's a different story, but I mean, you're buying a service, you're paying for something, and we're buying something.
You're paying for
I'm
some,
just-
you're paying for labor or
I'm not a
something
lawyer.
like that, but this is not labor.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's, yeah.
No, I just,
Interesting, no, it's an interesting
that's
question.
what I was asked, wanted to know.
Yeah,
I
interesting
ain't
question.
done-
I will find
I'm
the
not
number
done,
for
with-
you.
I'm not done with this yet.
I will find the number for you, though. Here, pretty quick.
No, it probably isn't in the town report anyway.
It will be, but I also.
No, but the last one, probably what they were figured in.
Yeah, I don't think it's changed.
Under the,
much.
social services.
No, they're not in social services, they don't
Oh,
qualify
that's
under,
separate?
no, they don't qualify under social services.
No, we
get-
engage a contract with
Exactly.
them for their services. We buy that from them, basically. We don't give them.
I think
anything.
we voted no last time and they voted yes, or in the contract.
Kathy broke the tie or
I
something.
broke that.
But I say, I ain't done with it, that's all.
All right, are we
I
done with
will,
that?
I will push it further.
But I will get a number for you, just so now you got my
But-
curiosity what we pay them.
The dog wasn't there half a day and it cost me $30.
They feed it
That's
at
not the
least?
whole day then.
They give us some kibbles and bits?
I doubt it.
No.
All right, then, I'll entertain a motion under 1 VSA 313A3 to go into executive session to evaluate an employee.
So,
Second.
Is there any discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor of going into executive session to discuss the evaluation of employees, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So,
7:10.
we'll go
Or
into
something like that.
executive session at 7:10, and being an evaluation, there most probably will not be a resolution.